Welcome back to the West Georgia Gridiron Podcast. I'm your host, Mason Taylor, as always, joined by my father, my co-host, my producer, Mark Taylor. And we are going to be wrapping up the quarterfinal round here, recapping Game 13 of the season. And, Dad, I don't know about you, but it's exciting that we have 3 teams moving on to the semifinals after Friday.
Playoff quarterfinals, y'all. We're wrapping it up. We're getting close to the end. All right, we're going to start off this episode with Fan Zone. This topic, Mason, what they're commenting on here on Reddit is Auburn fans, Indiana State Sycamores, Michigan State Spartans, Indiana Hoosier fans. Basically, they're talking about giving their opinions. It's a mixture of changing some dates for the NCAA that's affecting coaching hires right now and decisions and player decisions. And basically, it's a mixture of being able to go by the calendar and have a early signing day or transfer portal. Mason, you have any comments based on former players that you know from around West Georgia or upcoming that are going to be going to college as D1 players or as some commits, maybe in D1, D2, that this calendar affects? Do you have a say-so either way?
Well, I think the transfer portal and all that stuff, coaching carousel, all that, I do think it should be handled in the off season. I do think that doing it right before conference championships or during conference championship week or after, during the bowl game weeks, it's inappropriate. I don't think it's right, and I think it's just too early. Like Montrez Smith, for instance, he plays at Austin Peay, former Carrollton Trojan. He's already said that he's going to be entering the transfer portal. Now, obviously, that's different because it's FCS, but still, I mean, it's just too early. I mean, the season's not even over. But obviously, for them in FCS, it might be. But let's say for a player, let's say at Florida, like already announcing they're going to be heading into the transfer portal when they still could potentially, I don't know if they're going to be in a bowl game, but they could be playing in a bowl game. But with the early signing day, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. We've seen a lot of guys from around this area. Jonas Walton's a good instance of this. I mean, I believe he's going to be graduating early in December and doing early national signing day with Notre Dame, hitting the books in college early. To be getting in some reps with the team in spring ball, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but I do think with the transfer portal and the coaching carousel, I do think it gets out of hand.
Yep. Well, speaking of college, got to give a shout out to my LSU fans in Louisiana, my family. Great for LSU Tigers for securing Lane Kiffin. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right, we're going to get into your playoff quarterfinal predictions, and we've got Bowden, Benedictine, Heard County, of course, Carrollton, and we'll get into all those details this week. Mason, your scores. Looking at Bowden over Jenkins, what do you think about that prediction?
I think it's pretty similar. I mean, I only predicted Bowden scoring 4 points less. Jenkins, I would say about 9 points less. So pretty spot on there, I would say.
We'll get into details about the Benedictine Central, Heard County. Woo, much closer than for comfort, that's for sure.
I definitely knew it was going to be a close game.
Yeah, well, let's start out with these Jenkins County Eagles coming to Bowden, take on the Red Devils.
Yeah, Bowden had no trouble coming through when it counted. They took their contest on Friday with ease, bagging a 49-22 victory over the Jenkins County War Eagles. Obviously, I had them winning 45-13 by 32 points. They won by 27, so a little bit closer than I expected, but both these teams scoring about one more touchdown than I had expected. And Bowden now leads the all-time series 1-0. But the win was familiar territory for the Red Devils. They've won now 8 matchups in a row, and Bowden got their victory on the backs of several key players, but it was senior quarterback Josh Hopkins out in front. He threw for 194 yards, 5 touchdowns, while completing 81.2% of his passes. And he also rushed for 38 yards and a score, and he's on a roll when it comes to passing touchdowns. He's passed for 3 or more in each of his last 5 games that he's played in. Bowden's leading receiver, senior Caden Prothro, the 5-star heading off to Georgia after this season. He was Hopkins' top target yet again. He picked up 67 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. With those 4 touchdowns, he's now the record holder for most touchdown receptions in a career for a Georgia high school football player. So congratulations to you, Caden. But Bowden was unstoppable on the ground. They finished the game with 238 rushing yards. Strong performance for them. They've now rushed for at least 175 rushing yards as a team in 6 consecutive games. Bowden obviously moving on to the semis for the 4th straight year with a record of 11-2. For Jenkins County, the loss snapped their win streak at 4 games, ends their season at 8-5, and it's now the 2nd straight year they've lost in the quarterfinals. And then coming up, Bowden will go all the way down just northeast of Valdosta to Clinch County. And the two teams will face off against each other. Number 3 Bowden, number 2 Clinch County. The Red Devils of Bowden giving up on average 16.1 points per game so far this season. The Panthers of Clinch County giving up on average 14.1 points per game this season. So any points scored will be well earned in that one. But again, Bowden has an easy path to the semis. I've been saying that since day one. And Bowden proved it again here. It's just all business. And again, just doing exactly what we expect them to do as they finally get an interesting matchup with Clinch in the next round.
Yep. Well, we're going to skip Carrollton for now, and we're going to head on to Central Lions, get on the road, a long trip to take on Benedictine Military Cadets.
290 miles to be exact. And Central Benedictine squared off in some playoff action on Friday, but Central had to settle for second. They were dealt an 80-32 48-point defeat at the hands of the Cadets, and the loss was the Lions' first of the season. And having lost for the first time this season, Central ends their season 12-1 for the second time in 3 years. As for Benedictine, the victory was 10th in a row for them, bringing their record up to 10-2, and they will host Marist in the semifinals. Marist, the state runner-ups from last year, just got the win over North Coney in their state championship rematch after a field goal to walk it off at the end of the game. But this one, I watched I had Benedictine winning by 11, 35-24. Obviously, this is Benedictine now leads the all-time series 1-0. I thought this was going to be a closer game. I really did. I think a lot of people agreed with me on that. And when you watch that first half, that's about all I could get through. Benedictine had 7 offensive drives, scored on every single one of them. The last offensive drive, they scored a field goal, but all the other ones, they had touchdowns. Central, J.R. Harris came out, threw 2 interceptions in the first half. Jonas Walton went out with an injury. One of the Rochester brothers went out with an injury. When they did get on the board, they couldn't convert the PAT because of this a bad snap, and then the second time after a 90-something yard kick return touchdown by Avery Tanner, they couldn't get the 2-point conversion. So it was 45-12 at the half, and really Benedictine just really did whatever they wanted offensively, could not be stopped. Their quarterback's good, but they ran all over Central, and really Central just couldn't get anything going offensively, and when it seemed like they could, something bad would happen right after that. So Central, in my opinion, it's always been an issue of inconsistency this season. When you look at Jonesboro and the Tucker game, and that was those are some inconsistent moments this season. But then you look at the Griffin game, the Cambridge game, those were easy wins for them and dominating wins. So it's just Central ended up going from their best game, their best performance of all, this whole season against Cambridge, and now this week their worst performance of the season, and that ends their season at 12-1. But they're definitely trending in the right direction. But this is definitely a heartbreaker, and that's a long ride home with when you give up 80 points, which is the second most playoff points ever put up on a team.
Yeah, what do you think this score was about? Was that they were just trying to prove a point, just trying to show how strong they were going into the semifinals, or?
Well, it could have been, again, it could have been trying to prove a point to Central. Could have been trying to just prove a point to everybody else in the playoffs. Could have been just going out there and just playing the game. We're gonna just do our best, and whatever the score is, the score is. Or it could have just been Benedictine felt that if they didn't put the foot on the gas and hold it the whole time, that Central was going to catch up to them at some point. Because Central's fans did travel very well. I'm very proud of them. But again, Benedictine just pretty much did exactly whatever they wanted to do. Even though it seemed like they had more penalties in the first half than Central, they still just pretty much did whatever they wanted. And Benedictine's a good team. I think it's going to be them and Creekside in the state final. But this one definitely stings for Central. I mean, you were close to a semi for the second time in 3 years.
Yeah, well, I appreciate Miss Tracy Burns. She actually sent the text and was thanking us for covering the Lions the way we did. She's obviously one of their greatest fans, and so she wanted to make sure that She knew she appreciated everything we did for them this season. Obviously, we're going into the semifinals, down one, but it was a great season. Like I agree with you, there's a lot to build on. Going to be losing some good players, but I think that they've got a good thing going so far. So, well, we're already halfway through. I can't believe that, Mason. 4 teams already down 2, and we've got 2 more to come. But we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Hey, everybody, I want to tell you about our friends at Buzzards Coffee here in Carrollton, Georgia. They're located on Bradley Street. They're open 7 days a week, and their owners, Bryce and Shay, are an amazing couple with the best staff in town. They're coffee lovers with a big heart for this Carrollton community, and it shows. They're committed also to continuing what that shop does best, and that is to serve high-quality specialty coffee made with love, plus the best ingredients that they can put their hands on, and making Buzzards a place that feels like home every time that you enter. And you can tell them the guys at West Georgia Credit, our podcast, sent you. They'll make sure you get the best brew in town. All right, Mason, well, we're back with Heard County Braves taking on the Fitzgerald Hurricanes, the Purple Hurricanes. And this one, wow, what an ending.
Yeah, a spot in the playoffs was on a spot in the semifinal, was on the line, and the Heard County Braves rose to the challenge. They pulled ahead with a 39-38 photo finish over the Fitzgerald Purple Hurricanes, and the win was just business as usual for the Braves, who after 13 games remain undefeated. Multiple players turned in solid performances to lead Heard County to victory, but obviously it was junior quarterback Ethan Tisdale who gets the spotlight, threw for 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, also rushed for 104 and 1 touchdown on only 14 carries. And it was also junior running back Dooney Coleman getting some of the spotlight as he was Tisdale's top target, picking up 32 receiving yards, also rushing for 104 yards and a pair of scores. And they were just one part of a punishing run game. Heard County was unstoppable on the ground. They finished with 208 rushing yards total. That's the most rushing yards they posted since back in September. And when it comes to explaining why Fitzgerald lost, you cannot look at their senior running back Daniel Harris, because despite the final result, he rushed for 78 yards and a touchdown on only 6 carries. Heard County's victory bumped their record up to 13-0, I believe for the first time in school history. As for Fitzgerald, with the loss, they broke their 7-game winning streak and they end the season 9-4. And this is also the first time since 2019 that Fitzgerald will not be in a semifinal.
Wow,
so that ends their 5-year semifinal streak. Looking ahead, Heard County will defend their home field against the reigning state champion Toombs County Bulldogs. The Braves come into the matchup only giving up 14.2 points on average this season. The Bulldogs only 13.4. So again, points in that game will be well earned. But in this game, Heard County, I believe we were up 17-0 to start the game. Obviously, Fitzgerald fought back, but Heard County was never really out of it. They were down 2 points with 2 seconds to go. Matt Googe, the senior kicker, and I apologize if I mispronounced your last name, but he goes out there, I believe it was 22 yards from the right hash. All the pressure is on him. All the Fitzgerald fans are looking, all the Fitzgerald players, all the referees, all the Heard County coaches, all the Heard County players, all the Heard County fans. The whole city of Franklin's relying on you to go out there and move this team on to the semifinals for the first time since 2018. He goes out there and nails that sucker, and Heard County's moving on to the semifinals. It's very fitting that the last time they went to the semifinals, they beat Fitzgerald. And so Heard County moving on to the semis, but they got a tough task ahead of them in Toombs County, but they're definitely going to be enjoying this. They definitely enjoyed this win for a very short time before they got back to work.
Yeah, no doubt. We had to feature the kicker on this week's cover for the episode, and rightfully so. He earned it. All right, Mason, we're going to wrap it up with our Carrollton Trojans taking on the number 1 team, I think, for 4 days in the nation, number 1 team in the nation. And, came in and actually kind of disrespected us with their banner they ran through at the beginning of the game, where they were, could it be a deja vu from the state championship? But Mason, they took care of business on this one.
Yeah, Carrollton put the hurt on the Grayson Rams with a sharp 34-14 win. The result was nothing new for the Trojans, who have now won 12 of their 13 games by 20 points or more so far this season. Senior running back and West Georgia commit Cam Wood had another great game, rushing for 177 yards and 3 touchdowns while picking up 7.7 yards per carry. And with that strong performance, he's now averaging an impressive 104.8 rushing yards per game. Wins are hard to come by when you can't run the ball, and something Carrollton proved in this game. They limited Grayson to 2.5 yards per carry, But the Trojans did not have any issues in that department, having averaged 6.8 yards per carry. And the victory keeps Carrollton at an undefeated 13-0 as they move on to the semifinals for the second straight year. And those wins came in thanks in part to their offensive performance across that stretch, as they've averaged 47.5 points so far this season. As for Grayson, their loss was their first of the season and ends their season at 12-1. Also ends their 26-game winning streak. And like you said, came in saying, is it going to be deja vu? They had not lost a game since the Collins Hill game week 1 last year. And again, maybe some call it arrogant, some call it confident. To be the champion, you got to beat the champion. And well, Carrollton did just that. But Grayson had every right, in my opinion, to have the attitude that they did, because nobody had been able to beat them. But that's a slippery slope as well, because you have a team like Carrollton who is so good, and there's blood in the water. They want revenge, and obviously Grayson did not come on their A game. Carrollton did, and Carrollton got away with a 20-point victory at home to move on to the semifinals, where they'll take on the North Gwinnett Bulldogs, who are giving up on average only 9.7 points per game. The Trojans only 13.5. So again, points in that game will also be well earned. And, this is what I love about the playoffs. It's so competitive, and it's the best football you're going to see all season long. But Carrollton came in, went down 14-0. They were down 7-0 after the first quarter. CJ Cypher on the first real play of the game, because of 2 penalties, threw an interception. And, honestly, I didn't think it was that bad. I guess in my opinion, it looked worse than it was, but threw pick. Then Grayson actually ended up throwing a pick their first drive as well, but they were up 7-0 after a rushing touchdown at the end of the first quarter. Started the second quarter, got in the end zone yet again with a rushing touchdown with a different running back. They had 3 different running backs they were using, a senior, a junior, and a sophomore. And the sophomore got in the second time, 14-0. Well, then Carrollton came out, and after Cam Wood broke off a huge run to put the Carrollton Trojans on the board, they scored 34 unanswered points to take the game. And defensive effort by guys like Dorian Barney, Zakai Helton, Caden Spratling, CJ Gamble, guys like that, and Jay Hagan. I mean, how can you even forget Jay Hagan? I mean, those guys, I can't say enough about how well they played in that game. On the offensive side of the ball, obviously Cam Wood being the featured guy there, Peyton Zachary, Ryan Mosley, the quarterbacks, just everyone, the offensive line, you got to give them that team came in, Grayson came in with 50+ sacks on the year as a team, didn't get 1 sack all game long. You got to give credit to that Grayson, to the Carrollton offensive line. And Carrollton came playing on their A game. If Carrollton keeps playing like they played in this game and like they've been playing all season long, Carrollton has the state championship, in my opinion, in the bag, because Buford, there's no way Buford's much better than Grayson. So, again, Carrollton proving who they are. Hopefully they don't let that number 1 ranking they just got today get to their head, because I think it got to Grayson's head a little bit, to be honest with you. But Carrollton, one of the best wins I've seen in a while, in a couple years. Joey King as the head coach. There's 3 wins I think that have been the best so far in his tenure as the head coach at Carrollton: the Colquitt County semifinal, the Buford semifinal, and now the Grayson quarterfinal. So well done to Carrollton, and hopefully they can get it done against North Gwinnett in the semis.
Yeah, they're locked in. I think this is the team to do it. They're playing for each other. There's maturity on this team compared to last year that we haven't seen. And then also, I think, a physicality, and that was proven in that game. And if you're listening to my voice, I apologize. I actually lost it during that game and being out in the cold, which was worth it. But also, I think shouting at some bad ref calls and then cheering on those.
Yeah, the refereeing was
Trojans. So we'll tune in on Thursday. You don't want to miss that. You don't miss Mason's pregame analysis predictions. We've got 3 teams still left in the semifinals. It's going to be great ones, Mason. And I know that you feel that we're very blessed that we actually have 3 teams that have gotten this far. Most can't say that.
Yeah, 2 from the same county as well.
Yeah, that's right. Well, as like we say, there's nothing like Football Fridays in West Georgia. And follow and share us on all those social media groups where you follow high school football, and then follow us and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and then watch us on the YouTube channel for the latest episode. Well, until Thursday, everybody enjoy your week, and we look forward to having you back as we preview our semifinal games.